Hey, happy Saturday. All right, we're live, and we have we're going to fight today. Okay, today is all about which Caribbean island is the best for Black women expats. And so I have some Black women expats here joining us, and they're going to rep the island that they have moved to. They're going to rep their island, and we're going to find out in the end which one is for you. Okay. All right. So I hope you guys can hear. Hope everyone is doing well. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a year round house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, and I help Black women take a sabbatical, move abroad, or be a digital nomad. If that sounds good to you, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Ring that notification bell so that you will be notified when I post a new video. Welcome to you. Welcome to everyone here in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you guys. I have my internet is like struggling and straining, so things are going to look a little different because of that. I'm in Curaçao. I'm in the Caribbean. We'll talk about that in a second. But good morning. Nice to see everybody. And I have some awesome guests. All right. So I have some guests here who are going to talk about their island, where they have moved, why they've moved there, what life is like for them there, and why you should be there too. Okay, so we're going to go in the way that I see you guys. So first, let's welcome Clarice, who has moved to Jamaica. Hey, Clarice.
Hey.
Give us a quick intro. Introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Clarice slash Mocha Mazel. I relocated to Jamaica kind of in the beginning phases of the pandemic or the height, whatever, about 2 years ago almost. Um, I'm in Jamaica. I love Jamaica. Don't see myself being anywhere else other than Jamaica. And Yeah, it's been an awesome ride. I'm so excited to duke it out on behalf of Jamaica.
Where did you move from? Where were you?
So I'm from Mississippi in the United States. And I hopped around a lot while I was in America. I'm from Mississippi. I lived in New York. I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Ohio. I lived in Tennessee. So crazy enough, Jamaica has been the first place that actually like feels like home. So yeah.
All right, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Clarice is not at home in Jamaica. She's in Jamaica, but she's in a different location right now. So don't worry. I want to say this out loud. Don't worry. So she's fussing over the background, the light and the stuff. It's good. We can see you. It's good. All right. All right.
Okay.
Welcome, Clarice. All right. Next, Zoe. Hi, Zoe. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Stephanie. Hey, I'm Zoe. You can tell from the accent, I'm originally from the UK, but I'm living in Grenada. I did my first stint here in 2014 and made a more permanent move here last summer. And I run a platform called the Exodus Collective that's all about encouraging Black folks to move to the Caribbean. But it's nice to not have to pretend to be diplomatic, to not have to pretend that all islands are the same. Grenada is clearly the best, and I look forward to sharing more about why the Spice Isle totally rocks. There we go. That's
Welcome, Zoe. All right. Okay. So we've already had shots fired. Okay. All right. And next we have Jamila. Jamila, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamila White. I'm from Washington, D.C. area originally. And like Zoe, before I moved to Barbados, I was in a couple different places in the States. So I was in New Orleans for 2 years. I was on tiny St. Helena Island, South Carolina, for a year and a half, which is a tiny Gullah Sea island in between Savannah and Charleston. My mom lives down there now. And I was loving living in New Orleans and went back to DC very briefly, I thought, for a couple of months before going back to New Orleans. And then the pandemic hit. And I ended up in Barbados, which it had been a manifestation that was about 15 years in the making. I had declared that I was going to live in the Caribbean one day and preferably in Barbados because it's the best. Wasn't sure how it was going to happen. And then things happened very quickly in the summer of 2020 during the pandemic. And then accidentally started an expat network here for Black expats. So it's been quite a journey, but I'm so happy to be here, and shout out to all of the Black women who are thinking about moving somewhere, and special shout out to all the Barbados Blackpats in the chat.
Shout out everyone. So you guys, so you're here because you guys are like ambassadors for your place. You didn't just move to a place and find some peace and enjoy it and find that glow that you all have. I'm gonna say we all have, right? You didn't just do that, but you've also reached back. You've also become ambassadors and have helped other women, other people move to your island, move to the Caribbean. Can we talk about why? Like, why take the time to do that? Why not just enjoy your life? Why take the time to help other women get to where you are, or get to, you know, if not that exact location, at least get out of the country that you have gotten out from? Why was that so important? Zoe, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I guess two reasons. I think on the one hand, I know what it does for my well-being being out of a predominantly white country. I know how free I feel not having to deal with the nonsense. I know how wonderful it feels as a mother to know that my kids aren't dealing with that. So to help other people be able to have that same experience. And also, like, I launched this site probably like maybe a month after the killing of George Floyd, and things just felt intense. Things felt really heavy, and I just felt like so many folks are thinking about moving to Africa, which is amazing, but why not highlight the Caribbean? So that was the one motivation, and the other is that my family is originally from the Caribbean, and I think there's a real issue with the brain drain. So like people moving to other countries. So to find a way to bring talented, well-meaning, bright Black folks to the Caribbean, I think is really interesting to see like how new ideas can generate, people can start businesses, people can give back. So my motivations go in two ways, I would say.
Yeah. So I also had my channel was very new when George Floyd died, and there was killed, and there was a real you could see, like, from one day to the next, or from one week to the next, you could see Black people starting to search out, where am I safe? What are my options? Where can me and my family go and live and thrive? That was something that I saw too, taking place in this space. And it's no coincidence that you guys have moved during this time period, right? That was probably kind of an impetus for all of us to make sure that we secured a position outside the United States, make sure that we secured a home, a place where we can live.
Well, I want to speak to that if you don't mind,
Yeah.
because that wasn't my reason. I
Okay.
feel like I am programmed to move towards joy and not to be moving away from something.
Okay.
I'm always focused on what am I moving towards. And while the timing of the move, the pandemic, and me coming to Barbados, it couldn't have happened at a better time. I literally moved like a day or two after the election, but before the results came back. So I didn't even know who was going to be president, at the time that I left the country. But this has been in the works long before 2020 came about. But I absolutely empathize with the notion that we need a safe space, and it's beautiful to look around and see Black faces and see Black people on the money. Like, it does something for you. We have a Black prime minister, and Barbados now has also a Black president, and the deputy prime minister is a Black woman. 3 Black women head of state, 1, 2, and 3. Where else in the world do you see 3 women leading a country, let alone 3 Black women? So big up to Barbados for that.
Oh, okay. We're going to give Barbados an extra point for that. Yeah, that's an important point. Yes, so we do want to move towards joy. It's important in your life not to be fixated on the things that you don't want, because, spoiler alert, that's what you'll end up with. Oh, sorry. So yes, we do want to move towards the joy. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think I did both. Honestly, I think I did both. I think that there was some, like, how do I get somewhere? How do I get a place, secure a place in case some other people need to come? There was some of that. But yes, there was also, like, I feel good in this place. I feel good outside of the United States. I feel like I get to be me. I get to be light and bubbly, and, I get to be the floater and the dreamer when I'm outside of the United States. Clarice, did that factor into why you've created a community?
Of course, all of these things. So yeah, definitely my reasons for leaving were the same. I had been toying with the idea of leaving America, but I just had no idea how to go about doing it, and or no real examples or anything like that. So I had started kind of like just following along and trying to figure out like it didn't really become feasible for me until COVID hit. So I want to say like I had also been toying with it and about leaving the country, but it didn't really set it didn't really like hit in stone until COVID and all those things. It was just all this tensiousness, or I don't know what the word is for that, but definitely those have facilitated my reasons for leaving. Also wanted to have a sense of community in these spaces, even though you are in, a space with, other people who look like you, there's still those dynamics that exist in certain levels of understandings and things that, sometimes only Black Americans can really kind of grasp. And so I wanted to, extend that and build a sense of community and have this like um more, because it's always the other way around, right? You always have people migrating to America or or the UK or wherever. It's always the other way around. But establishing a community for those who want to get out of those spaces definitely kind of projected the creation of my space, Black Expats and Repats in Jamaica. So yeah, definitely all those reasons is why I kind of, made that move towards that direction. It kind of just moved, y'all know, I just kind of moved towards this direction. Not to say it was something that I had any intentions or plans to do, but that's kind of what my spirit gravitated towards, I guess, if you want to phrase it like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've linked to everyone's information in the description of this video. All right. So Clarice's group is Black Expats and Repats in Jamaica. Jamila's group is not called A Remove to
Yes.
Barbados or what, which I put in the thing. It is called Blackpats, right? Zoe is
Barbados Blackpat.
Barbados Blackpats. Zoe is a coach who coaches people, including families, right? So we talk about this talk all the time. People are like, yeah, but I have a family. Yeah, but I have a family. Zoe coaches people, including families, to move to the Caribbean. And Zoe's website is theexodus.co. That is not yet in the description, but it'll be in the description if you're watching the replay. Hi, it's already there. Okay, I'll put that in as soon as we talk, as soon as we end. Yeah, so we got to a place. We liked the place. So also, I guess I should take a second and apologize to the people of Curaçao. I am not an appropriate representative. I've been in Curacao since January 20th, I think. I've seen very little. I've been to 6 beaches and that's about it. I'm not a good representative for Curacao. So maybe we can have somebody do that later. I'm gonna try to hold my own. I can talk about food and beaches. Okay. Once we get beyond food and beaches, I'm gonna be useless in this conversation. But Jamila brought up an important point. So the first time I saw Black people on money was when I went to South Africa and Nelson Mandela was on the money. And I was like, this is amazing. It just didn't occur to me that that was going to be so like impactful, like that. It really touched me. It really affected me that people are walking around every day handling their business with money and with Nelson Mandela's face on the money.
Yes.
Was the Caribbean an intentional choice for you guys? And Zoe also talked about how people are saying move to Africa, move to Africa. Was the Caribbean an intentional choice because of the Blackness? Or was the Caribbean just like, it's the Caribbean, it's beautiful, weather's good, it's cute? I'm going there. Everybody's nodding.
No, for me, it was definitely it's the
definitely.
Blackness.
Go ahead, Zoe. And then we'll do Zoe first again.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I've lived abroad before. When I was 24, I moved to Italy. I worked in Milan. I've lived in Ibiza in Spain. And I always knew that I love traveling. I love culture. I love experiencing difference. But I just think you reach a certain age where you just want to chill, you know? You don't want to apologize for who you are. You don't want to be accommodated or tolerated. You just want to be. And for me, it's just as you were saying, it's the faces on the money, it's the fact that the police are Black, the teachers are Black. It's just the lightness that it brings to you, that sort of the freedom to just be like 100%. I reached a stage in my life where I needed that. And I felt it was really important for my kids who were really young. I've got an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old to grow up with that as their norm. Because who knows what's going to come further down the line. But I think if you're grounded in that, if you're grounded in not having to apologize for your culture, for not having to sort of defend yourself against stuff that's really unnecessary, I think that really allows you to move in your power as an adult. So definitely, it was 100% intentional to be in a Black country, for sure.
Yes. And Clarice?
Absolutely. So, my deciding factor, because I know I want to leave. I was like, I have to go to a country that's predominantly Black country. And I want to go somewhere where there would be too much of a language barrier, which is why I, finally decided on the Caribbean. Because of course, Africa was also ideal, but I'm also very expensive to get there. I will have a much more difficulty getting like acclimated and with the language barriers and different, things like that. And I'm like, the Caribbean, I think, is just like ideal for Black people who want that proximity in America.
I don't know. I think we might have lost you for a quick second. But...
that you're, can y'all hear me?
You chopped up for a little bit, but we heard almost all of it. We're patient. Everybody's being patient.
Okay. That's my reason.
All right. So Jamila, you like you recruited like an entire gang of people to come to Barbados with you. Was that
what? I actually did. I mean, it first started on the beach in 2010. I was here visiting Barbados as a tourist and loved it, and said to myself, well, actually, it was probably 2003 or earlier than that. And I was like, I really love it here, and I really want to live in the Caribbean, and I'm going to visit a bunch of islands until I find the one that I like the best. But right now, Barbados is tops. And as I went to a bunch of different places, Barbados remained at the top of the list. And as early as 2014, I started being very intentional in my business, that I started making my business gradually more virtual, because I said, I have no idea how I'm moving to the Caribbean, but when it happens, when that opportunity comes, you ain't gonna catch me crying because I can't go, because of work. So by the time the pandemic hit, I was already 90% virtual. And then when the opportunity came in 2020 to move, summer 2020, I was already 99% virtual. So it was seamless. But from my experience of having moved to New Orleans, where I knew one person, it took me, and being a social introvert, but still an introvert, it took me about 6 months to make good friends when I was living in New Orleans. And because of that, when Barbados announced the welcome stamp visa for remote workers in summer of 2020, which was like a revolutionary concept at that time, in summer of 2020, only 3 or 4 countries in the whole world were open to Americans to travel there because of the high rates of COVID in the US at that time. And Barbados stepped out there and said, hey, we rely on tourism, but our short-term tourism is down. What can we do to lure long-term tourists here? And they created a remote work visa program that other countries have since copied to lure people to come and stay. For me, that wasn't the reason why I came, but it put Barbados back on the front burner and moving, because it had been on the back burner. I was planning to go back to New Orleans. So when I saw the announcement, I just shared on my personal Facebook page the link about the welcome stamp. And I said, oh, this is such a cool thing Barbados is doing. Then I hit publish, and then I came back to revise the caption, like, wouldn't it be cool if a bunch of us, entrepreneurs, remote workers, artists, teachers went? And I was thinking, that way we would at least know 2 or 3 people that were loosely know them. So we would know somebody when we got there. I knew people from Barbados. I didn't know anyone who was currently in Barbados. Okay. And my interest was self-serving. I was like, I don't want to wait until I'm going for at least 6 months. I don't want to wait until the 5th and a half month before I have good friends.
Right.
So I was like, well, at least I'll know a couple people. And it just snowballed into what is now
Barbados Blackpats with 700 members between our Facebook and WhatsApp group. And people started to see us, pictures of us on Facebook, on Instagram. And they were like, I was trying to figure out where to go. I was either going to go to Mexico or Ghana or whatever. But I see all of y'all down there living your whole life. And the COVID rate at the time was like super low. So a lot of people started coming here, and it just began to snowball from, 6 people in my DMs trying to figure out, can we move? Like, what are we going to do? To now hundreds and hundreds of people. And it's Black people from the US, the UK, Canada, Nigeria, other Caribbean islands. And we also have Bajans who moved abroad and then have returned back home to Barbados, who are part of our network.
Yes. So
but it's become like family. And then literally, my sister moved down here too, almost a year ago. So literally family is now
literally
here.
family. Yeah. So if you're nervous about going alone and not having friends, just bring them with you. So so Jamila told us that she bopped around had visited some other Caribbean islands and did some comparison. Zoe, I know that your family is from Grenada. So do you have some comparison to have you been to other islands in the Caribbean, or is Grenada your
No, I haven't spent much time in other islands, but I think I've been doing this coming up to 2 years. So every week I interview people who've moved to different locations. So I cover the West Indies more than the Caribbean. So the West Indies is more like the English speaking Caribbean. So excluding Curaçao, not the US islands. So I think by doing that, I've been able to get a really interesting sense of what different islands have to offer. And I think generally when you say the Caribbean, people think Jamaica. I'm from the Caribbean. Oh, you must be from Jamaica. Like, no, there's something like 7,000 islands in the Caribbean. And each of them have so much to offer. And some of them are larger. So you'll have variation from the north to the south. But yeah, I think Jamaica isn't going to be for everyone. Grenada isn't going to be for everyone. But I think once you know what it is that you're looking for, like who you are, sorry.
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Hey.
Thank you. Once you know what brings you joy, then you can pick the island that's right for you, because what works for me about Grenada might not really be appealing to someone else. But yeah, I think to answer your question specifically, I think getting a sense of what I know about the islands from also talking to other people who've made the moves, Grenada definitely works for me now. But if I weren't to be here, I would probably choose Jamaica or St. Lucia. I think if I didn't have kids, if I was able to go out and party, yeah, Jamaica or St. Lucia is where I would be.
Okay. She said, hey.
Yeah, that's real life right there.
Okay, so can we talk can we talk about your residency situations? Because Jamila also brought up a great point about the Barbados welcome stamp. Barbados, so this is something that I can do for Curaçao. Curaçao now, after Barbados, Barbados did set the, begin this thing in the Caribbean, as far as I know. After Barbados' welcome stamp, Curaçao also initiated a digital nomad visa so that people from other places can come and spend time and work remotely from Curaçao. I am not on that. I'm just on a regular tourist visa, which means I got to get up and out of here after my tourist visa is up. But Curaçao does have a digital nomad visa. So can we talk about your residency situations, Clarice? How are you living in Jamaica?
Okay, well, we're working with Jamaica. We're working on Jamaica for the digital nomad visa. They do not have that option as of yet. But me personally, I'm here on a work permit visa. When I initially came here, I was on tourist visa. So I went the work permit route because I have intentions on actually, setting grounds and footings, doing business and operating and functioning in Jamaica within the Jamaican economy. So I went ahead and went that route because that was going to be my intention anyway, to kind of build a life and footing and everything here. So that's the route that I went, that I told. That's how I have residency right now. So that's the route that I took.
You have the work. Sorry. So you have the work permit visa in Jamaica. So that gives you permission to get an actual job in Jamaica, even though you're working online.
Yeah, so basically, so I'm able to earn money in Jamaica, be it business. I went the business route, but typically, most well, if being with the dynamics in the the economy, you will want to have either some type of online income or business or something to give yourself the best possible options. But yes, I'm able to work or get employment, basically earn money here legally. So
Okay.
that's the route that I took.
Okay. And was it a complicated process? Clarice has a YouTube channel, which is linked in the description, where she talks about getting the work permit visa. So was it a complicated process or simple?
Yes, it was. It was a complicated process, and because Jamaica is very meticulous, and which I appreciate at the same time, because they have to, do the proper vetting and making sure that you're legitimately coming here. Because I'm pretty sure people have tried their routes just to try and get residency. They didn't have any intentions on starting a business or anything, so they have to make sure that you are legitimately coming there, with good intentions to do business. So
Okay.
it was a process, and I'm assuming it's the same process for anybody who's migrating. So that's a lot. I got to see the other side of the migration
Right.
scope. I'm like, this is what it feels like to be an immigrant. You have to go through so many processes and all of this. So it was definitely a learning experience.
That's right. Yeah. Welcome to immigrant life. Yeah. Okay. So you can legally work in Jamaica. You can legally start a business in Jamaica with that visa. But if someone wants to come
Yes.
and just work remotely for a while, they are pretty much stuck to the tourist visa right now.
So you have up to 6 months on a tourist visa. So you have 3 months, and then you have to apply for an extension. And
Okay.
after those 6 months are up, you got to. Some people leave, for a week or two and come back, or it's you have to kind of, I don't know, figure out, So they'll leave and come back, or that's typically how it would happen. So you have
Okay.
up to 6 months on a tourist visa, and then you have to leave and maybe return
Okay.
after a period.
Okay, we call that a visa run. Okay, and then Zoe, how are you in Grenada? You have your family is from Grenada, so is this a situation where you get a citizenship, like a passport, a Grenada passport?
Yeah, so I applied for citizenship back in 2014. The only reason I did it at the time is because I wanted to open a bank account. And just to simplify the process, I think it's going to be easier if I'm a citizen. So I went down that route. But in terms of anyone else, Grenada does have a digital nomad visa. It launched in September of last year. I think it's about the same cost as for Barbados. So it's 1,500 US dollars. With that, you can stay up to 12 months. You get tax breaks. So if you want to import a car, you can do that without having to pay an additional fee, which is really handy because import duties are massive here. So that's an option for people who know that they want to stay for 12 months and import stuff. The other option, if you come on a tourist visa, it says you can stay for up to 6 months, but when I checked, actually, no, it's only 3. But what you can do, you're allowed to extend. So for 75 EC, which is about $27, you pay that every month. You just go to the immigration department, and you can even say, I want to stay for another 6 months. You just pay for 6 months up front, and then you don't have to bother getting off the island and doing all that sort of stuff. So a number of people who've moved here who don't have citizenship, what they did was come on a tourist visa, simply extend, and after you've been here for 2 years consecutively, you're then allowed to apply for residency. So that's also another option if you want to be based here. So I think a lot of people are very keen to push the digital nomad visa, but there are often cheaper ways of getting it if you don't want to put thousands of dollars down.
I think that's a point for Grenada. I think that the fact that you can come on a tourist visa, continue to extend, and then get residency over 2 years, after 2 years, seems like a pretty smooth process. I'm giving Grenada a point for that. Yes, there are points. I saw a cutie pie earlier. We're like, are there points? Yes, there are points. I don't know. I don't know. That's all.
With with Barbados, it's the same with the remote work visa, which I'm not on. I'm on a tourist visa, and because every couple of months I visit back in the United States, it just keeps renewing. Or you can stay here and just go to the immigration office and renew the tourist visa. The remote work visa allows you to put your kids in school locally, and also has some tax benefits as far as the customs and duties on certain things that you can import. But it is kind of pricey. It's about 2,000 US per person for a year, and it's 3,000 for a whole family. And then you can reapply at the end of that year, and then there's a lower renewal rate. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's about 1,500 US for an individual. But so within Barbados Blackpats, there's a wide variety of people in all kind of immigration and visa and citizenship statuses. Some people have family here. A lot of people are on the welcome stamp. Others came as tourists, and then they just keep extending. I have one friend that arrived in October 2020, has not left the island at all on a tourist visa. She just every couple of months she goes to the tourist to the immigration office. She made friends in there. She pays a very nominal fee. They put some stamp her passport or whatever, and then she goes on about her business. So there's multiple ways to be here, but it really depends on your situation. If you have under a remote work visa or a tourist visa, you cannot legally earn income on the island. You have to have some outside source of income. And also for the welcome stamp visa for remote work, you also have to sign an affidavit saying that you have health insurance. They don't check, they don't ask for documentation, they just ask you to. And you can also get like nomad health insurance or whatever. That's very inexpensive if that's an issue.
Yes, I had to do the same thing coming
I'm
into Europe.
looking at long term, and I'm looking at what are my pathways to dual citizenship. And so I may end up doing the welcome stamp visa if it provides a shorter pathway to dual citizenship. Because I'm not going anywhere. This has been a dream making for over 10 years for me to live here or to have dual residency in the U.S. and in Barbados. And it would be nice to not have to deal with immigration stuff when I go back and forth. And when I say deal with, it's an online form. It's not a big deal, saying that you're coming back in. It's not like, mounds of paperwork. No. But it would be nice to get in the short line at the airport for citizens and legal residents to just go through.
I should say, though, that we have U.S. and UK passports. Yeah, UK. For some reason that sounds wrong, but not an English passport. You have a UK passport, right? So yeah, so it's important to say that. So things are different for people with different passports, right? So but that is the privilege that we have with our passports. We get the 90 days, we get the easy renewal. May not be the case for everyone. Okay, I do need to stop.
Yeah. I forgot, there's also one other option in Grenada. So if you are a high roller, you've got loads of money to spare, you have the option of buying citizenship, which you can do in about 3 months.
Yeah.
It costs, I don't know if it's 200 or 250,000. But a lot of people do that because there's a really good medical school here. So you'll have like Chinese or Russians or whatever coming here and buying citizenship. So there are a few islands that offer that: Grenada, Antigua, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis. So yeah, if you've got some money in the bank, you don't know what to do with it, buying a passport is one route you could go down. It's a little bit sensitive. People don't really like the fact that wealthy people can just walk straight in, but that also it's quite a significant revenue earner for Grenada and other islands.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about
here. You can buy a passport here if you're a quote high net worth individual. I think the passport fee is about 10,000 US, but you have to be able to document that you've got several $1 million either in the bank or assets or whatever. I don't qualify for that yet. I'm working on it.
Yes.
we all working on it. We're getting there. Yes. So let's talk about it. So speaking of working on it, we've said that it's not only is it illegal for most of you guys, except for Clarice, to earn money where you are, or no, Zoe, not Zoe either, because Zoe's working on citizenship. But right now we can't earn money. I can't earn money in Curaçao, right, on this tourist visa, but I do have to earn money. So let's talk about how we earn money. How are we working while we're living or staying in the Caribbean? What kind of work are we doing? And how is it? This is a big question. How convenient is it to work from your island? Like, how's the internet and the electricity? Are there co-working places or cafes with free Wi-Fi? I know that's a long question, but because I've already seen that asked a couple of times, and that's really important. I do want to say that the quality of Wi-Fi difference that you're seeing has probably more to do with Ecamm Live, the platform that I'm on, than these ladies' internet, the specific quality of the internet in their homes. Right? I'm on a third-party platform called Ecamm Live. So the stream is just like, it's every couple seconds I get a thing that says, we're trying to fix the quality of your stream. Okay. So Jamila, what do you do? And how is working from Barbados?
Yes, I am a professional psychic and life coach and transformational retreat leader. And so before I came to Barbados, my business was 99% virtual by intention. It took me several years, but over time, I made it that way. My clients were already all over the US and all over the world.
Yeah.
And I do sessions remotely. I also teach courses. And before the pandemic, was hosting in-person transformational retreats, which I'm resuming for this year, having one called Empath Exhale in Barbados at the end of June and into July. So for me, the remote work situation, it was seamless. And actually, the internet here, Barbados is known for having really great infrastructure. It is not considered a developing nation, unlike a lot of places in the Caribbean. So we've got great internet, there are great services, and all of that. My internet is great. The electricity is great. And one home that I lived in, there was a brief internet glitch, but it wasn't Barbados. It was some construction in the neighborhood that interrupted it. But to be honest, when I lived in New Orleans in the US, my internet here in Barbados is better than what I got in New Orleans. It was more reliable. The internet it was always going out in New Orleans. Electricity was always flickering. There were hurricanes there. Barbados is located outside of the hurricane zone, and so we get a hurricane once every 50 years. So that also impacts things like the internet and infrastructure. But as far as remote working, that's one of the reasons why Barbados has such a big expat and nomad population, is because if the internet stops, none of us make money. And so we need to be in a place where the internet is super reliable, because if the internet goes down for a day, I lose money and nobody's about that life. So that was a factor. It wasn't the first factor that made me look at Barbados. I fell in love with Barbados first, and then was like, okay, now could I live here, and what would it take for me to live here? And then as I started to do my research, learned that the internet was great. So
is Barbados a place where you can go in a restaurant and get free Wi-Fi for the afternoon and work?
Yes, there's lots of free Wi-Fi all over the island. Almost every restaurant, cafe, bars even have Wi-Fi, because the way that people use cell phones down here is that a lot of people don't have a data plan. They just get on they get a local cell phone connection, and then they get free Wi-Fi everywhere for messaging and WhatsApp and whatever. So even in a lot of the streets in the common areas, there's free Wi-Fi. I do like to work at cafes and look at the ocean and look at sea turtles and look at all whatever when I'm not in meetings, Zoom meetings, because I need the privacy for the kind of work I do. But when I'm working, I love to be able to do that, and that's one of the benefits of island life in general, is you can't beat the scenery. You cannot beat the scenery.
You got that right. You got that right. So Barbados gets a new point for not being a developing country. I don't know if that's worthy of a point or not, but I'm going to give you a point for that, okay? And then I'm going to jump in ahead of everyone else and give Curaçao a point for not getting hurricanes. Last hurricane was in the 1800s, okay? We are far.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so Curaçao wins that point. Okay, so tell us, Clarice, what kind of work do you do, and how is it working from? Now, we keep saying Jamaica, but most importantly, you're in Kingston. You live in Kingston. So how is work? How is the internet? How is access to the internet in like restaurants and stuff?
So Kingston is more like I want to say, metropolitan area or urban area of Jamaica. So the internet is pretty reliable. I can go into some cafes and restaurants and work and basically have those same luxuries as I would. and while I work alongside you, and, and I have so on the ground in Jamaica, I do have we're building our expatriate service to assist those who are interested in coming to Jamaica, and we also have we're starting a tourism agency as well to kind of help get people off the resorts and actually experience Jamaica. You know, the actual Jamaica, that the real Jamaica. I don't want to use those cliche terms, but that's kind
It's
of sort
okay.
of
We
what
get
it
it.
is,
I
so
understand
to
what that
speak.
means.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so internet is pretty reliable, especially in the areas that are, again, like Kingston and Montego Bay and Negril. Maybe in the more rural areas, there may be more, I don't want to say as much difficulty, but as far as reliability goes, in Kingston and those areas, you will have stable internet. Electricity, for the most part, typically don't have any issues with. Sometimes I get a notification that, we're going to be working on the power lines or something in this area, they'll let you know. So it's not, again, it's depending on where you are. So if you need that essence of, constant internet, electricity, and have access to different areas of Wi-Fi, then Kingston will probably be, the area that's more suited for you. Especially if you're somebody who works and generates your money online.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what you having lived in Atlanta, so this is, listen, y'all who live in Atlanta, y'all are paying for internet, you're being cheated, okay? If you can live and work online from Atlanta, you can live and work online from pretty much anywhere in the world. I know when you do a speed test, it tells you you have 20 megabytes per second, or might tell you 100, right? But it's a lie, because I've been there. And anytime I do a Zoom call with a woman in Atlanta, I'm like, girl, where are you? 1999? Like, what is going on here? So, okay, so good. That's good for Jamaica. And Clarice, having lived in Atlanta, it's saying that she's good in Kingston means that well, do you remember internet struggles in Atlanta, or is it just me? Clarice,
Um,
you don't remember, you didn't feel like there was a struggle?
I just I don't think it was. I think you have just it's more accessible.
Hmm.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I don't remember it being too much of a difficulty, except it being probably more expensive. Um, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the that I had, same uses that I would have over there, I have out here, like or more, and for the pricing better.
Okay. All right, Zoe, tell us, what kind of work do you do, and how is it working from Grenada?
So I'm a journalist. I am also a diversity and inclusion consultant. I work for a company in the UK that helps blue chip companies address race and diversity issues. Funnily enough, that work is drying up because white folks have done everything that there is to do on race.
Oh, it's done?
So
It's fixed?
that puts me. Right? Yeah, 2 years we're done. Let's move on to the next thing, which is fine. It's kind of, I mean, it's great work. It's well paid. I can do it all virtually, and that's basically what allowed me to be financially comfortable here. But it's draining. It's draining having to dial into racism from a Black country. So I'm kind of taking it as a gift from God, from the universe, to kind of transition into stuff that's just more meaningful and more fulfilling. So I'm putting a lot more energy in show people, like speaking to people who've made the move, showing them how to, I think the first one's going to be Grenada. So we have an entrepreneur, we have a realtor, basically just giving people live the information as to how to move. But it's great. It's great working from here. The internet is good. It's really good. I think there are pretty much only two internet companies that operate across the Caribbean. Those are Flow and Digicel. And for the most part, the speeds are really good. The speeds are great. But the one thing that I would say is that you're unlikely to have a technical issue. But if you have a customer service issue, God help you. Like, the customer service is it's awful. It's crazy. So I would, like, the one piece of advice I would say is, like, just stay on top of your bills, find a a friend who works at Flow, just because you don't, like, I literally spend maybe 7 hours trying to get stuff sorted. And when I can't work, I lose money. But they don't care. So
Yeah.
that's the one. The internet is great.
Good.
Sometimes the people working for the internet companies are not so great. And you're going to have that issue, whichever island you're on, because it's all run from one central place. But on the positive side,
Back up.
so there aren't designated co-working spaces in Grenada.
Sorry.
Say that again?
No, sorry. She was talking to me. Go ahead, Zoe. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Things that I should have done yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, no, there aren't dedicated co-working spaces in Grenada. But where I either go to like a marina. So you're in a marina, there's loads of yachts, it's like lovely scenery, or hotels. I like to go to hotels and work from a hotel bar by the pool. So that's what I do. If I've done well, I treat myself. So I go a little bit more upscale than a cafe, just to kind of push Grenada out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. This is something that I've been doing in where am I? Curaçao, right? Because the hotels, you can get a day pass and go hang out at the hotel. Because for a while I was staying.
Day pass.
But you can go get the day pass, hang out at the hotel pool / restaurant / bar, and work, and it's really a nice thing. There's a hotel here on Gentile Beach that has like beds, not just a chair, but like the beds. I'm like, yes, I'm reserving a bed. It's not free, right? But you get the bed, you get snacks, drinks. You know, it's really it's like.
I'm all about that day pass life. All about that day pass life. In addition to, there are some formal co-working spaces and co-working lounges and buildings here. There's a company in the U.S. called Regis, and they also have an office here, which is a national co-working network. And then there are some independent co-working lounges and some that are by and for expats. But I also love the hotel, restaurant, or lounges. Some of them you can just come and work, or you can get a day pass that includes, like, you pay a flat amount, you get. It varies. You get a pool lounger or a beach lounger. You get a credit at the restaurant or bar. Some of them come with a changing room or a day room, a private, hotel room. Others don't. It's all over the map. But anywhere from $30 to $300, depending on how fancy you want to be. But I'm all about that day pass life. And also, when you live in a country, long term, you start to qualify for local discounts. If you're in that in-between expat nomad stage, or if you're a permanent resident, you're not necessarily paying the tourist rates that people who are just here for a week or two or a month are paying to access these kind of things, or to do different adventures or excursions or whatever. So there's some cost savings if you've been here for a while. Also, like everything else in the Caribbean, relationships are everything. You just say hi to somebody 3 times, now y'all friends. And the hookup culture is real. So, when you make Caribbean cultural thing, it's probably a universal Black cultural thing about, those kind of relationships in personal life and in business.
Yeah. So this is something that I've just been in Curaçao long enough to see. There's a woman who recognizes me at the beach. And, hello, Dushi. That's what they call. That's like their sweetie, right? That's their sweetheart or whatever. Hello, Dushi. So it's nice to be able to see yourself moving out of the she's a tourist, she's a visitor mode, and into oh yeah, she stays here, right? She stays here. She belongs here. She's one of us. She's becoming more, not one of us, but she's becoming more ingrained in the area. Yeah. How have you guys had experiences with meeting and making local friends? Now, Zoe, you have family, so does that give you a super advantage in meeting new people? Or does it mean that you kind of don't meet new people because everybody's related to you?
No. So my family, my parents left Grenada when they were kids, when they were 7 or 8, and pretty much all of my relatives had left. So I'm from Grenada, but I'm not really from Grenada. So when I moved here in 2015, I had no family here. I came and my grandmother left. I'm like, what? I'm all on my own. So yeah, I've got citizenship, but I'm not deeply plugged in. I'm not deeply connected. But again, I knew that I wanted to move back to Grenada. So probably in 2015, I started a few little side projects. So I started something that was like about interviewing young Grenadian changemakers because I'm a journalist. I love storytelling, but it was also a good way to network. I started a business here in 2015. So again, I started like talking to hotels, talking to potential suppliers. And I know Clarice is amazing because she made her move in 30 days. And she's the example that I always say to people, like, you don't have to plan. But if you are a planner, there's definitely stuff that you can put in place to start making that happen, whether it's reaching out to people on LinkedIn, whether it's identifying like what are the organizations that you might want to collaborate with, or even just the yoga studio that you want to go to. I really think you can start to do that research. But then also, I'm quite antisocial. I'm realizing
Are you?
I don't always need to be around a lot of people. But yeah, I've started making more of an effort.
Okay.
And it's really international here. So again, because there's the medical university, there's a US medical school. So what you'll find is like students come from all around the world. So do the faculty. So it's nice to kind of, you're always in St. George's, the capital in particular. People are used to like newbies, and people are really open and welcoming, and there's certain restaurants that you can go to and they'll have meetups. So there are options. You can be like a hermit like me, or you can dive in and meet loads of people.
Okay. And are the people of Grenada a warm people, a welcoming people, or is this a place? Is there any Caribbean island where the people are not warm and friendly? Is there?
Do you know what? When I speak to people and ask people from overseas and ask them like, why do you come to Grenada? What they tell me, and I don't think they're lying, is they say like, Grenada's lovely. I've been to lots of Caribbean islands and it's not the most beautiful, but what I love are the people, because Grenadians, they don't hustle. In some ways, they don't really care about getting your money. They don't really care about giving you your food on time either. Just super chilled, super laid back. Like you can go to the beach and no one's going to come up to you and offer to braid your hair. No one's going to offer you to buy a sarong. They'll talk to you if they're interested in you, and they'll have a conversation. And I think if you're looking for like a really authentic vibe, that's lovely. If you want like great service, if you want things delivered now, if you want hustle, Grenada is not for you. But if you just want to chill and be, I think it's unique and it's really safe. It's really, really safe, which makes a difference.
I'm going to give Curaçao a point for that too. Okay, 6 beaches, all day laying on the beach. Not one time did anyone come to sell me anything except for one burrito man. And I was hungry, but I was with my friend Katrina, who's a vegetarian, so we did not buy burrito from the man. That's what he was singing, burrito. But no, it seems to be not a thing. Katrina and I parked ourselves on some lounge chairs without paying for the lounge chairs, without realizing it. And a man came up, the local man came up, and she asked him something about us getting food, and he was like, "You haven't paid for the chairs." So, right? So I'm going to go and get your food and bring it back for you. So he worked there on the beach. He went, got our food for us, came back, brought it to us, and then when we tried to tip him, he refused the tip. Not just like, "Oh no, you don't have to," but like, no. Right? Refuse the tip. So it's been really difficult here to tip in general. I know that they do tip. I know it's a thing because the Dutch woman who I met down here, she said, yeah. They accept tips down here. But you have to shove it in their hands or sneak it onto the little thing when they're giving you the thing to pay with your card. You have to type it in yourself, right? It's an unusual culture, but you're right. Nobody here seems super concerned with taking your money. So all of that to say, Curaçao and Grenada get points.
You asked a question about local friends. I didn't know anyone here. I didn't have family here. My first friends were fellow expats because it's easy to make friends with other people who don't have friends.
Yes.
But then it kind of branched out. So it went from just expat friends to hybrid Bajans returning home friends, and then to local folks. And so my friends are fairly diverse. My closest friends are expats because we have a similar lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I feel like the culture here, people are incredibly friendly, which is common throughout the Caribbean. But in Barbados, Bajans in particular are not just friendly, but they're very polite, which is part of the British influence of having had the ties through colonialism, which Barbados also is leading the way in parts of the Caribbean, having within the last year totally divorced the UK, and
Okay.
now no longer is under the Commonwealth with the Queen, and has its own
Oh.
not just independent government, but is now not part of the Commonwealth, because they wanted to be very proactive about getting rid of the colonial ties. And they've also been, like the US within the last couple of years, tearing down the colonial statues. So there's been a movement here. It's also interesting to see how the racial and reckoning and the colonial reckoning that in the US has spread throughout other parts of the world, including Barbados. But not only are people very polite, nobody here is going to turn down a tip. That's not, if you're going to tip them, they're going to take the money. What you mentioned being on the beach, one of the things I absolutely love about Barbados is that every beach is public. All beaches belong to the people. There's no such thing as a private beach. Now, the how you get there, the access point to the beach might be private, or might be a little more difficult in some of the very upscale areas where they don't want a lot of foot traffic. But I can walk on any beach in any neighborhood, even the most luxurious places, and so can any Barbados citizen, because they were very protective of, we want everybody here, and there's no penalty for foreign people who want to buy property, so they welcome foreign investment. But the beaches belong to the people and will always belong to the people. Whereas with other Caribbean islands, you can't go to certain beaches, or some of the nicest beaches you have to pay an access fee to get to. Whereas Barbados, you can just show up and you're here, and there's no fee, and you just be on the beach.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the culture, is this is ours, and the island belongs to the people, and we love people with money and investors, but this is the people's island, and it will always be the people's island. So come hang out with us, but no, you can't block us from being on our own beaches. Like, I love that mentality. Also, depending on what beach you're on and what season you're in, people are going to try to sell you stuff on the beach, and you are going to run into the beach guys, who not just want to sell you, but, want to interest you in their personal relationships. That's real. But from a safety standpoint, one of the factors in me choosing to live here versus places I like to visit was safety.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire island, as a single Black woman, I feel safe here. I'm not worried about crime. I'm not looking over my shoulder. That doesn't mean that there isn't any crime here. You have to have common sense, but it's very, very low. And so for me, that's one of the factors for quality of life. I feel safer here than I did living in Washington, D.C. and its suburbs,
Yes.
and in New Orleans and other places. So that, that contributes to my peace of mind, as far as just, living a joyful life, is I'm not looking over my shoulder.
I'm going to disappear
it's
from
okay.
the screen. I'm sorry. Housekeeper's here and I have to let her in. But I'm going to disappear from the screen for a second. If you guys would talk about, oh, hi, come in. Good morning. You can come in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we're going to roll with it. I can't mute just myself. If I mute, everyone is muted. So let's talk about this. So Jamila told us that all beaches in Barbados are public. Curaçao, a large section of Curaçao's land is taken up by Exxon. A large portion of the coast, I should say, is taken up by an oil company. And that affects, right, what we have access to, where we can go, and it affects like just what the island looks like. A whole side of the island is oil, whatever they're called, oil drilling things, and it's ugly, right? A whole portion of this beautiful island is taken up by that. So I don't know if we are equipped to have this portion of the conversation, but how is your island, like how available, how public, how green even is your island? Do you guys have any input on that, Zoe or Clarice? So Jamaica's pretty big.
Grenada.
Yeah, go ahead, Zoe.
Yeah, Grenada, all beaches are public. All beaches are public. Even there's an island here, Calavini Island. It's a private island that Melinda Gates went to when she divorced Bill. So it's like, I think it's like 50,000, 200,000 night. It's like mega expensive. But even that beach, is not private because it's part of Grenada, and there isn't really anything that they can do from stopping someone sitting on the beach. Like if you go past the beach and head towards the property, obviously that's a problem. But similar to Barbados, I think there's a real strong ethos of the island belongs to the people. It's not for sale, and I love that. Grenada in the late 70s had a socialist revolution, and I think there's a really strong sense of national identity that is quite exciting to be able to tap into. And I think, yeah, that's definitely a strong point. Yeah, beaches are anyone can access them. There are parts of the island that are being sold off. There are more and more Chinese coming here. They are building like a Singapore-style resort that's not too far from where turtles are nesting. So it's beginning to happen. It's beginning to happen that parts of the island are being sold off because of foreign investment. But I think Grenadians are quite vocal about pushing back against that. But let's see what happens. But the beaches, at least, they're very accessible.
Good. All right. And Clarice, so Jamaica is huge, and like, I think it's huge. Is it huge? And yeah,
Jamaica is big. It's a big little island.
how except are these beaches though? There are definitely private beaches in Jamaica, and there are things that and there are like spaces that everyone doesn't have access to. Do you see a lot of industrial like things taking over on Jamaica, or is there not a lot of corporate industry? Like, is there not a big Exxon ugly side of Jamaica?
In some areas you do have that. I know they have like a bauxite or aluminum situation here, and you will see like these big, I don't know, structures and things in certain parts of the area. So that's kind of people are kind of vocal about that as well, about the bauxite mining and things like that. But as far as like the beaches go, so yeah, they have the private beaches and they have the public beaches. But you know, honestly, because Jamaica is so big, a lot of the people, like locally, I'm not sure. There's not much of a, because they have like their own pockets of communities where they have their own water, like, you know, sources and reservoirs and rivers and things like that. The actual terrain of Jamaica is so vast that not necessarily may not miss the beach. I guess if I could like phrase it like that. Like I don't really care for the beaches. I would go to them, but I would much rather prefer like the inner layers of Jamaica, like you know, the rivers and the
because y'all have mountains and
So because of the terrain is so, you have so many different terrains out here, so it's like I don't know, you know, people still want access to the beaches, and that's also a conversation that they're starting to have. But you know, just dealing with locally and like, you know, local and what they more so gravitate towards, there's not much of a not this massive desire for, you know, just, you know, the beach. So I know there's a lot of dynamics and intricacies going on with that.
So Jamaica gets its first point, and for that, Jamaica gets that point for variety, right? Jamaica is not a one-trick pony, right? There's mountains in Jamaica and there's stuff, right? Curaçao, as far as I know, there's the beach. Sorry, people from Curaçao. That's all I got. Right? That's all I know. You know, like, they're nice though. So let's talk about your favorite beach. So Clarice, I don't know. You're not gonna have a favorite beach if you're not a beach person. I will tell you about my favorite beach in Curaçao. All right, my favorite beach so far is Blue Bay.
Go ahead. No, I have a beach.
You do have one?
I was gonna plug one of my group members, like one of the ladies that in my group, she actually owns a hotel. And she's on one of the beautiful stretches of Jamaica. So 7 Mile Beach, I would say, Gail at the Treehouse Resort. That would be, I would say, it will be my, you know, if I was to go lay up on the beach, it would be hers. And she's also a Black woman who owns a hotel in Jamaica. So I'm just plugging her, and I do really actually love her beach and, you know, all of those things. So
All right, perfect. My favorite beach will be Blue Bay, calm water. So this was my serious question. Like this is all I came to ask y'all. Are there beaches with real calm water where a chick who cannot swim can float without being taken out to sea? I think Curaçao is probably going to be the winner of this because the water is so calm in every beach I've been to. Not the clearest, I'm gonna tell you, right? Not the clearest. It's clear enough. You can see little fish in the water, but it's not like clear, but pretty and calm. Okay, so tell me about and nice powdery sand, light. There's been some areas with kind of white sand and some areas with not white sand. But I think that Curacao might win on the calm water for people who like to get in the water and don't want to get taken out to sea. Who who has a beach? Do y'all have those in y'all's island? On y'all's island?
Yes. Yes. Barbados is known for beautiful beaches, clear turquoise water, white sand. I have not met a beach that I do not like.
Okay.
So trying to figure out the one I like the best, it depends on my mood. But I love Pebbles Beach, where they come and bring out the horses and wash the horses at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning. During the rest of the time, it's beautiful. I love Barbados is unique in that on the one side is the Caribbean Sea and the other side is the Atlantic Ocean, which is choppier and good for surfing. So you kind of get two different island experiences in one.
Okay.
The East Coast beaches are beautiful and they're rocky and they have it's just a whole different vibe than like the West and South Coast beaches. The more tranquil, peaceful beaches are more like on the West Coast and like the Northwest. I love Paynes Beach for that, which is really, I used to live near there. I used to live about 2 blocks from there and it was very, very calm. I'm now on the South Coast in Christchurch near St. Lawrence Gap, and there are beautiful beaches here. It's a small island. It's only 166 miles, so it's very easy to get to beaches.
Yeah.
And, in any direction, you're just a couple minutes from the beach.
Yeah, 166. Curacao is 40 miles from the longest.
Oh, that's
It's so small. It's so
we're
small.
little, but that's little.
It's little. That's why it's so not disturbing, but like annoying or maybe disturbing to the local people that Exxon owns so much of it, right? That Exxon takes up so much of it. Yeah, but the Western beaches, beautiful and super chill. Zoe, am I going to get swept out to sea in Grenada or?
Well, same as with Barbados. It depends which side you're on.
Okay.
Atlantic on one side, Caribbean on the other. But I'm not, in Grenada there's a code because it's not a massively touristy island. There's certain places that you don't mention in public because you don't want them.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I'm not going to tell you my super favorite beach, but I think the most famous beach here is Granite. So that's a 2-mile stretch of white powdery sand, crystal clear waters. It's very calm. That's lovely. There's also La Sagesse that has a really lovely hotel, and they're building a Six Senses resort there. And that one is great for kids because you can walk really far out without it getting deep. So that tends to be my beach to chill on. But similar to Clarice, there's so much more to Grenada than just the beaches. Yeah. I think the interior, we have mountains, we have hot springs, we have rainforests. So yeah, it's great to have the option of the beach, but I think to kind of just really immerse yourself in nature, I think that's the plus side of Grenada that is perhaps untapped by most people. Just go for a week or two.
Good. Okay. Now, during Exodus Summit, we talked to Danny, who lives in Barbados, and she gets her water from a fresh spring. She goes out and takes her water jug and gets her water from a spring. Curaçao has the reputation, though, of having the best water, the best tap water. That's what I know. That's what they've bragged on. They have the best water right out of the tap, like the local water. All right, so we haven't talked cost of living and we haven't talked men. We haven't talked the two most important things that people want to know.
Can I say something? Because, you have the housekeeper in the background, and that is important because this is also part of the living here thing, and the cost of living is I have a housekeeper. She comes weekly. Never in my life, except for when I was staying at a hotel, did I have a housekeeper. There are, Barbados is definitely not the cheapest island as far as the cost of living, but the services are fairly inexpensive housekeeping, beauty services. I stay in lashes. I don't wash my own hair. Like all that stuff that back in the States costs a whole lot of money. Like I'm just every Wednesday I'm getting something done, either lashes or hair or whatever, because it's so inexpensive. Lash refills, $25. Like I can get my hair braids taken out, get color put in, get my hair washed, conditioned, trimmed, get new braids put in, and have spent all of $75 tops
No.
US. And
No.
housekeeping like $50 a week for a 2-bedroom cottage that I live in. And I had to go through, as a Black woman who comes from Black women who were in service to others, I had to go through some deep emotional stuff around just hiring a housekeeper.
Yes.
In my first place, it came with the house that we lived in, and it was still weird that I had an older Black woman cleaning the house, me and my housemate. At the time, I had a housemate when I first came. And then when I moved to the second place, I had to hire my own, because after 6 months of not ever changing my own sheets and scrubbing the toilet, I was like, yeah, I want to keep that lifestyle.
Nice.
But I had to hire my own services. And I realized I had some angst around that. And I did get through it, but a lot of stuff came up around not just hiring someone, but giving them feedback and giving them instruction. And in my mind and on my vision board, I have all of these people helping. I'm going to have a gardener and a housekeeper and a personal chef, all these things. But then when someone actually came to be in that role, I had to get through some stuff around what does it mean to be a Black woman who hires other Black women to do things for her. That was like a real thing. But if you pay people well and treat people well, it shouldn't be an issue. But some stuff came up for me around that. And I think that's something that when you live in another country, there are different cultural norms. And in the United States, not just for Black women, but for women in general, it is expected that you have to do all the things. You're supposed to work full time and raise kids full time and clean and cook and do all of the things that people in no other country are being asked to do. And I didn't really see how much of a difference the rest of the world operates around what it expects of middle class women. There is class issues here, but just middle class lifestyle in so many other countries involves having help. Like in the United States, it's not that way. We're expected to do everything, and it's coming at a cost to us.
It is.
And that's something that if you live in another country, Barbados, but also many other places, you don't have to do all the things, and it's quite affordable to get help to do different things.
That's right.
And once you get a taste of that, people are like, Jamila, when are you coming back? And I'm like, what for? Why would I want to go back to DC and pay $2,000 a month for a cottage, for a cardboard box size apartment where I'm doing all the things, paying $200, $100 to get my hair done? Why would I want to do that?
Why?
So there's some trade-off in cost of living, but I can live better here for the same money. My money is the same because my money is independent of my location.
Okay.
My money goes further here in terms of the little everyday things that make my life easier and more enjoyable. And that's a big deal for me.
That's right. So we don't want to just go someplace because the beaches are nice. We want to go someplace where we can have an elevated lifestyle, where we can embrace ease for ourselves and for our families. And we can have a lifestyle, the lifestyle that we would have dreamed of. And who would have thought that you can do that in the Caribbean? In such an expensive place. It makes sense in Guatemala, right? It makes sense when someone says, I moved to Guatemala and I have this is my fabulous home and my staff and all of that. You're like, yeah, Guatemala. But in the Caribbean, you're like, oh, how could you afford that? But so anyone else have someone who does services for you that you would not be able to afford back in the U.S. or at least wouldn't want to have to pay for back in the U.S.? Zoe, I think last time we talked back in September, you were doing all of the things. Have you stopped doing all of the things?
I stopped and now I'm doing it again. Now I did have a lady helping me, a cleaner, but she just mopped the floor. I'm like, I'm not so I mop the floor. Have you not seen? So yeah, it's like Jamila, I have issues about giving people instructions and feedback, so that didn't work out. But yeah, it's much more affordable here. In the area that I live, like I think I must be the only person who doesn't have a cleaner, which is crazy because I've got 3 really messy kids. But yeah, you can get cleaners, you can get cooks. It's really accessible. But yeah, I'm still working through my issues on that. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I know I need it, but again, they could be my mum, they could be my grandmother. You know, it's a funny dynamic, I think,
Yeah.
having someone in your house.
I don't know why I don't feel that way. So my grandmother was my grandmother used to get jobs as house cleaners and then send her daughters, send my mom and my aunts, right? So they've all done it, and I don't know, I don't feel any type of way about it because I've done jobs also, right? I've been a nanny, I've been the person on the other side, and so I don't feel any type of way about it. You know, pay me, and we're good. So I don't. We've talked about this before, and it surprised me how many Black women were so resistant because of that particular thing.
I surprised
Yeah.
myself.
The
I was
other thing,
surprised at what came up for me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
the
Either
other
one.
thing that you have to be careful about in Grenada is really small. So when you let people in your house, they also know your business. So you know that's also something to be aware of. Like if you're living on a small island, people talk. So you do have to kind of do your due diligence as to okay, how many people does this person know? How like discreet are they? That's something I'm imagining you don't have to think about in the US and definitely not in the UK.
No.
So yeah,
No.
these are the realities of island life.
Okay. But you said you don't have family there still. So who are they talking to? Right? Like there's nobody to tell. Like,
Oh, I
oh,
have
did you know?
friends. I have friends.
Okay. Okay.
I have friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So what?
That small island piece, that's real. The
That is.
talk, that's real. I got a taste of that before I moved here when I lived on tiny St. Helena Island, South Carolina,
Yeah.
population 10,000. Everybody knows your comings and goings. And so coming from a large metropolitan area like DC, where if you want to be, you can be anonymous, just
Right.
fade into the background and nobody knows you. But in a small community, when you go to the store, you're gonna see somebody you know. And if you go there with somebody, they're gonna see who you with. If you're driving around and somebody's in your car, you're in somebody else's car, they're gonna see who you with. And it might come back up in a conversation later,
Okay.
you know, especially as far as dating concerns as well. But just there is a different mentality. I mean, there's pros and cons because it's not all bad because it's a tight-knit community. You also have people who want to help and want to be connected in a way that you don't experience in a large major city in the US. There are some advantages to being in a smaller community, but then it does take some getting used to that somebody knows your comings and goings or knows the last time you came in their grocery store or their restaurant or their cafe. And in a lot of ways, it's great to go someplace where somebody knows you and is happy that you're there.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if you're having a mood where you don't want nobody in your business, you don't want to be seen, and you're having an introvert moment, and it's like, damn, can I just go somewhere? You know,
Okay.
you can, but you have to think about those things. That's real.
It's true. That's really true.
Okay. Clarice, are you doing everything yourself or do you have, so Clarice is, oh, you've said this on your channel. Clarice is learning to drive in Jamaica. So you have a driving instructor, right? So you have someone who is teaching you how to drive in Jamaica. Do you have someone helping you do other things in Jamaica? Helping you?
Periodically, if I'm like overwhelmed, I'm coming like maybe like 2 or 3 times, but it's not something that I regularly do.
Okay.
And I did sometimes I would because I'm more familiar with like the moving about as a local, but if I have like if I'm just overwhelmed, then I call and ask like for help or something. I hire a driver. Typically, no, I don't. No, I haven't gotten to that lifestyle just yet.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So we got super chat from Bev. Thank you very much for that super chat, Bev. I lost the. You don't have to clean the. You don't have to clean that part. No necesito. This is the struggle. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I know that if I speak in Spanish, they will understand me, but my Spanish is not good. Like it's not helpful. It's not helpful. All right, all right. So thank you to send a Black woman on sabbatical. We're sending a Black woman artist on sabbatical. The first woman we're sending is Maisha Francis, who has a YouTube channel. You can check out her art. And so we're raising money. So that those super chats today will go to the sabbatical fund. And we had one very early. I think we had one before we got started that I forgot about. So thank you very much. And Donna Johnson, thank you very much for those super chats, ladies. Okay, so we're going to give the super chat to the Sabbatical Creator Fund so that we can send Maisha Johnson on sabbatical. No, Maisha Francis on sabbatical, Donna Johnson. So I've lost a lot of my ability to see the chat, but I can see the super chat. All right, so we, can you tell us a cost of living figure, like even if it's just a comparison? Like, how does your cost of living today compare to your time in Atlanta, in New Orleans, in the UK, in London, right? So, how does your cost of living today compare? The Caribbean sounds so super expensive that I think people forget that, like, yes, groceries are expensive, but other things don't have to necessarily be crazy expensive. So, how does your cost of living compare? Clarice, do you want to start? You were in Atlanta, like maybe Atlanta might be an easier comparison than Mississippi.
My cost of living is definitely less expensive, and again, it in Jamaica it depends on the lifestyle you want to live. Because you can definitely get New York, Manhattan type, expenses here. So I think I'm kind of like in the middle, and I'm comfortable. I want to say probably like, just like my basic living expenses, I would say maybe like 1,000 a month, and then outside of my own spending or whatever, I want to say probably, yeah, I'm probably comfortable at like in between 1,500 or so a month, unless I'm just, I
How
don't
does
know,
that and how does
being
that
super.
compare to Atlanta when you lived in Atlanta? That's probably the easiest comparison, right?
Yeah. Back at home, you're just paying for so much more stuff. Like, I feel like you gotta pay to breathe in America, and I'm like, you buying a car,
Yeah,
you paying rent, you paying,
yeah,
like depending on where you eat, your groceries are more expensive, and as compared, they can be expensive here if you're eating imported things, but like locally, it's much more affordable if you eat local foods. Um, Insurances and all those stuff, like the typical runaround you get just trying to function in America. I think it's much less expensive, and again, you can breathe more easily living on that different, on that set budget. Like you can have a higher quality life with that same amount of money than you would living in somewhere in Atlanta or whatever. That rent alone is more, there than probably like my average, spending expenses in Jamaica. So it depends on the lifestyle you want to live. Again,
yeah.
because it can get pretty pricey depending on which area you're in, or you can do just the basic natural way of living. So
So Clarice is in. So this is not Clarice is not home right now, but her home in Kingston. You have a home that is how much bigger? How many like more rooms than what you had in Atlanta? Yes.
yeah, I have a three bedroom, two bathroom, and I guess they call it uptown. I'm uptown Kingston. That's kind of, I guess, supposed to be one of the more like upscale areas or something. I want to say it's probably around like 700 a month US.
Okay. And what was that in
But
Atlanta?
uh,
Or what?
I had a I think I was paying more than that for like maybe like a two bedroom, one bath, and like this shabby apartment, in Atlanta. And I actually, I was on the outskirts, so you're not actually in
Not even
Atlanta
in.
for that price anyway.
Uh-huh.
So it's like you stuff's barely functioning, and it's like I have a much more better view. I have a much nicer space. It's a different, you know.
I saw your view. Clarice posted her neighbor was playing, I think Brandy, Lonely Broken Hearted over and over and over. He was going through some things. And she showed the view, and I was like, oh, that's a nice neighborhood. Yeah, so you're in a nice neighborhood, 7 something a month for 3 bedrooms. All right. So Zoe, how does your cost of living today compare to to England, to super expensive UK? I guess
To be honest, it's not that different.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Grenada's quite pricey, especially if you're in St. George's, which is the capital, and if you're in the sort of expatsy areas, it's pricey. And to be honest, I would say it's overpriced. Property
Okay.
here is overpriced. I think if you're willing to go slightly towards the suburbs and to the other parishes, then you're getting really good value for money. But because of the medical school, because it's a place where people come with their yachts outside in the hurricane season, because we're outside of the hurricane belt, like good property is in high demand, and it's really expensive. The only reason that I'm able to afford to live here is because I'm staying in my parents' empty house. If I had to pay, I guess I'll be paying maybe $3,000, $4,000 a month, which is way more than I would have paid back in the UK. But then on the other side, my kids go to private school here, and my son's, I don't know, in US, it's maybe $400 a month, whereas in the UK that would have been like $1,400 or $1,600 or $2,000. So like some things are more expensive, other things are more affordable. Education here is definitely more affordable if you choose to send your kids to private school. But groceries, I always go on about this in my interviews, but imported food here is ridiculously expensive. Even some locally grown food is really expensive. So I think the solution really is to just grow your own. I think most houses tend to come with a plot of land, and then because it's a volcanic island, the earth is really, really fertile. So grow your own. That's what I would suggest. But yeah, I think unless you're willing to live in the rural areas, it's going to be difficult for you to come to Grenada and save money. I think.
Yeah.
It's.
I think Curaçao is a place where you can live a lot cheaper. Like if you're looking at the Airbnb prices, I think in Curaçao you could live cheaper than the Airbnb prices that I'm paying, right? But I think the food is always going to be expensive. They don't grow anything here, as far as I understand. It's a very desert-like island. They don't get a whole lot of rain. As far as I know, they don't grow anything. You hardly see even vegetables in restaurants. You know what I mean? Because they have to import everything. You go into a restaurant, you're getting meat and French fries, right? So food is, and the groceries are expensive, but like groceries are expensive all over. But everything is imported. I came from Mexico, where you could get like a flower arrangement in the grocery store for like $8, or like on the corner, to the little like a grocery store arrangement, like half of what you would expect it to be, half the size, was like $30. Yeah. So everything here is imported, everything, and that's a different switch. But I think that the accommodation can be done a lot cheaper. This is an island where you also have to have a car. You have to drive. They don't have. It's not a walkable. It's not a ride your bike around island. You cannot ride your bike and be safe on this island. Even though it's a tiny place, you have to have a car.
Here in Barbados, there are areas that are very walkable. Some of the South Coast areas like Oyston, Maxwell, Dover, St. Lawrence Gap, Worthing, Hastings are quite walkable. Up further up north on the West Coast, in Whole Town area is quite walkable. I lived near Whole Town, and now I live right near St. Lawrence Gap. And even though it's fairly walkable, I just like to have a car because that's just me. Plus, gas here is high. You think gas is high in the U.S., it's very high across the Caribbean. However, I drive so much less. So even though gas is like double what I would pay in the United States, like in terms of a conversion of dollars and gallons and liters. I'm driving so much less because everything that I go to is like within 5 miles or within 3 miles that I $40 US in gas a week. It really depends on what I'm doing that week, but generally much less. I'm probably filling up every other week, or it really depends. As far as rent is concerned, it's always interesting how people interpret housing prices. First, you have to consider where you're coming from. To someone from DC, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, what is considered expensive is going to be very different than someone in Atlanta, Dallas, or a small town. So I try to tell people avoid words like comfortable, expensive, because those terms are so relative and ambiguous, but talk about what you can get for a certain amount. Right. And so here in Barbados, if you want, the other thing is people come to islands and they want to live like a tourist long term. If you do that, you're going to be paying out the nose. So if you want to live like you're on vacation all the time, it's going to cost you a lot. I live walking distance to a beach. I have a very spacious 2-bedroom cottage, probably about 1,100 square feet. It's in a very nice neighborhood with the U.S. ambassadors are down the street and across the street. My landlord lives in the house behind me, so it's like a cottage that's on a bigger piece of land with a big house with a water view behind me. I have a beautiful large garden. I have a private driveway. I've got a patio. I've got a full-size kitchen, air conditioning in the bedrooms. In this place, I'm paying $1,500 US, which includes some utilities, and this is also a furnished place. So the prices are all over the place in terms of size, location. The closer you want to be to a beach, the way more expensive it's going to be. Furnished or unfurnished or semi-furnished. Here, furnished means appliances. Fully furnished means furniture. You got to understand the nuances of reading real estate listings for where you're looking at. Fully furnished, and there's another word that means like dishes and silverware and stuff. I forgot what that word is.
Okay.
So in my other place, we had a 3-bedroom home, 2 bathrooms. We were paying $1,200, and that was up on the West Coast and what's considered the Platinum Coast. But we got a really great deal from a private landlord. The other thing is, if you're looking at Airbnbs, those prices are short-term tourist prices, which is very different than monthly, way down when you start talking about 6 months or 12 months on a lease or to rent. You can also get a 1-bedroom apartment or place for under $1,000 US here. You can even get down into the hundreds the further you are from the beach. So there's trade-off. If you want to live more inland in a less urban area or a less beachy area, it can be very, very affordable. But you would need a car in that case, and you would need to. You're probably not going to have a major, large grocery store in your neighborhood, but you will have mini marts and run shops and things like that. So it really depends. And I think for people who are considering living in the Caribbean or living in any other country, is to first prioritize what's important to you.
Yes.
Is walkability important to you? Is proximity to a beach important to you? Do you want to be able to walk to restaurants and grocery stores, or is a short drive or short bus ride okay for you? How much space do you need? Like for me, my priority was I need a big real ass kitchen because I cook real. I don't want to be cooking in no little galley kitchen with the little 2-burner stove. That's not how I live. So that was a priority for me. I may have to pay a little bit more to have a full size, spacious kitchen that's big enough for like entertaining and cooking for people. So it really depends. Also the driving situation. As someone who came from the States, everybody was like, "Is it so hard to drive on the other side of the road?" That switch was fairly easy. What's different though is the sense of or between a car and a pedestrian is very different. That's what takes the adjusting. These very narrow, winding, hilly roads that have pedestrians and no shoulders that may or may not have street light beams on. So as you're coming around a very narrow corner, you're being blinded by the oncoming car. Like that's where the learning adjustment is. So the left right part is easy for me and for many people, but the other aspects of driving that you don't think about. Also, in terms of food costs here, I agree with Clarice and Zoe that if you try to eat exactly what you ate at home, you're going to be eating lots of import food, and you're going to be paying a lot of money. The more you can eat locally, local produce, local seafood, local meat, or whatever, your price is going to go way, way down. So I think you have to kind of think differently about what cost of living means, because cars here are expensive, gas is expensive, but you drive less. You're not paying for parking. You're not paying for tolls. If you're renting a monthly rental, you're not paying car insurance because that's included in the rental.
Yeah,
so I'm paying about $500 US a month, which seems high for a little Suzuki. But when I looked at the total cost of what does it cost to own a car in the US, car note, insurance, parking, tolls, it's less, and my transportation cost on the whole is less. So you have to think a little more holistically and talk to people who are in that area so you can get a really clear sense of the cost of living.
Okay, so Jamila, you're saying you pay $500 a month to rent the car?
Yeah, it's like $525 for a car rental, but that includes the insurance, it includes roadside assistance, it includes all the maintenance. So the only thing I pay for is gas and car washing, which actually translates. And initially, I looked at the sticker shot and I was like, that's way expensive. But then when I actually thought about what I spent in the U.S. with my car, which by the way, I still have my car in the U.S. It's paid for, and I have a friend driving it, and she doesn't drive often, and that worked out. You know, we just we split the insurance. But but cars here can be very expensive, and the shorter. That was the price for a 6-month and longer commitment. If you're looking for a weekly or just 1 month rental, you're going to be paying a lot of money in Barbados for a car. When I first came, people were charging $800 or $1,000 a month for a very basic, 3-year-old, very tiny car. Mm-hmm. So it also, everything is negotiable. If somebody tells you the price is $800, that doesn't mean you have to pay $800. You talk it down. That rents are negotiable. Utilities are not negotiable. I probably pay $50 to $70 a month for electricity, and that's with somebody who has air conditioning running and working at home, which means I'm always running AC or fans or whatever. I have a washer and dryer here. My water is included in my rent. Cable is included in rent, but I don't watch local TV that much. I mostly just stream all my stuff from the U.S. So I still pay my U.S. streaming services. I have really good internet. I pay $50 a month for residential internet, but it also depends. Different landlords may combine different utilities, so that really varies from property to property.
Okay. Well, let's move over
Someone asked about health insurance in the chat.
Yeah, let's move over quickly. Has anyone had an experience with healthcare in the place? I've not had any experience in Curaçao. I know that there's a medical center very close to where I was, my first Airbnb.
Yeah.
That's as close as I got to healthcare in Curaçao. Anyone have any experience with healthcare on your island? Not yet. Okay.
Yeah, now that I've been here for a while, I'm starting to get local doctors. Like when as a woman, my first doctor is gynecologist. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Zoe.
There's a delay, isn't there?
Yeah, it's okay. We're rolling.
Sorry. So when I came in 2015, I was pregnant and had to visit midwives here. And I was surprised at how good they were. In the UK, you see someone and they're sort of just like, ticking boxes and you're out in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, the women felt really invested. They were giving me advice on what local fruit and veg I should be eating to keep my iron levels up. And that was free. I just went to the local health center and that was amazing. I also managed to burn my arm on a gas cooker and had to go we decided to go to the private hospital. There's a local, a state hospital and a private hospital. We went there I was like so out of it. I don't really remember what happened, but I've since been told that they're very much about the money. They won't treat you unless you put a deposit down, and they want your credit card. And what else? I was bitten by a dog. Again, went to the local health center. But for me, it's really difficult because I'm from the UK. And for the most part, all of our healthcare is paid for by taxes.
Yeah.
We don't have, most people don't have health insurance.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to go to like a specific person for a specific issue. You just go and see your GP. Whereas here, like the fact that I took my kid to the general practitioner, having to pay for an appointment, I'm like, what? Why do I have to pay to get a child treated? So I'm beginning to realize that actually you do need to know who to go to in the right circumstances. Yeah. I've been told like this is the best bone doctor, this is someone to go to if you need stitches. Okay. It's not easy to navigate. So I definitely think I need to, and anyone coming should do their research to identify who are the doctors that I need to have in my phone book, because if you just go to the general hospital, you're likely to be waiting a really long time. The standard of care isn't great. Like I want to say that it is, but it isn't. It just isn't. And what a lot of people do, they will take out insurance so that in case of a serious incident, you'll actually be airlifted either to Barbados or to the US or to the UK.
Okay.
And to give you an example, last year when COVID was crazy, the Prime Minister announced that there was going to be a curfew and no one was going to leave. Yeah. And the next day he left and flew to the US for a health checkup. So the Prime Minister won't even get a checkup done in Grenada. So I think that shows you that, yeah, it's not great in terms of healthcare, unfortunately.
Okay. Curaçao does have a good reputation with healthcare. But I don't know what that means. This is a Dutch island, and so Dutch people come here and live. Dutch people have residency here, and they come back and forth. So there may be, they may have. That may have be a reason why healthcare is a priority here, but I can't speak to what it costs. No idea. All right, so. Okay, so I see in the chat the internet is not good. Okay, so this is funny. Her cleaning lady rearranged the internet. That's funny. So I'm in an Airbnb. I just moved in here, and I don't know the schedule on things. So this is a Curaçao thing. The Airbnbs include housekeeping, like during the stay. I stayed for pretty long terms, and they come in the middle of the stay instead of just after you leave. So we haven't talked about the men. Okay. Who wants to go first?
Let's talk about it.
Who's going first? So I think that Zoe, when we ask about dating, Zoe always says, I have a partner. Did you meet this person in Grenada?
I'm thinking, what can I say? What can I say in public? So yeah, I did meet that person in Grenada. We're no longer together. He's my really good friend. Oh, no, okay. I met him in Grenada when I was a kid. It was like a holiday romance. So I've known him since 2019. Okay. Yeah, but the men, I love Grenadian men. I think especially as a dark-skinned Black woman, don't date Black women as a start. And if they do date Black women, they like light skin, like long hair, which just absolutely isn't me. So having made a choice later in life to exclusively date Black men, to be in an island where there's just like a endless sea of like just lovely looking men. Sorry, I'm smiling a little bit too much, but it's great. It's really great. And like, guys, people aren't like necessarily sitting in an office behind a desk all day, so people are in good shape. It's just, for a single woman, even if you don't date, it just puts a smile on your face, seeing hot guys all the time.
All right, so we're on the market. Zoe?
I might have been taken off. It's never know what will be sent your way.
Okay.
That guy with the yacht, he's out there.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So I won't ask you any more questions about that. Except if I were an American woman who, or a British woman who had been in lived in a place where I did not get uh, attention from men, Grenada would be a place to come if you wanted to get some attention from men. True or false?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Definitely, definitely. And it's not aggressive. I mean, I personally don't think it's aggressive. You get like I'm driving down, people like, hey, nice lady, nice lady. And they'll just like chat. It's funny. I find it amusing. It's good for your ego.
Yes. Okay. Good. All right. Another point for Grenada. All right. So Jamaica, I think we all know Jamaica's situation. Clarice, what about the men's?
Okay, so I guess we know the situations and preferably women who are coming as tourists will definitely experience that, ample amount of attention and, sweetness and sweet talking and everything. You would definitely experience that, like on the tour of beach areas, But I want to say when you get actually get out into the communities, you still have that, variation of men. But Jamaica being, I guess in general, they're just so confident and just boisterous. So it's it's some interesting dynamics happening. But you still have those typical working and just those everyday men, and then you have those men who operate on the beach, and I think it kind of gets conflicting when you are not familiar with the dynamics of a country, and so you identify Jamaican men as those men that you encounter on the beaches or those areas that you frequent, and they're frequenting those areas for a purpose too, so it's I try not to play into too many stereotypes about Jamaican men, because you that's definitely there. And you also have the regular smuggler just working a 9 to 5 dude. But it's a lot. So it's just those dynamics. And then you also have to think about the economy here as well. So sometimes you do have those situations where it's the man is he's the man who earns even just a steady income is the cream of the crop. So he still has his choice and pick a woman. So it's kind of it's a different kind of beast out here. But it's not all bad. But it's just you have to understand the dynamics, I guess, and that you're coming to. But yeah.
Are you dating?
I'm working on it. I'm dating, but I'm not
Yeah.
no one's been locked in yet.
Okay.
Just
That's
dating.
dating. Okay. That's dating. Okay.
It's a work in progress.
And do you need an app to date, or do you just go outdoors and men ask you on dates? Did I
I just go outside. I mean, that's the thing. I don't think you necessarily need a dating app in Jamaica. Just go outside, and someone's gonna be waiting there to greet you and let you know.
That was my guess. That was my guess.
That trust and believe, you just go outside.
Okay. That was my guess. So here in Curaçao, I think I need an app.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. In Curaçao, I think I need an app. So there are men here, but I don't think this is a culture where they're going to just holler at you. I don't think. I think that I need an app that says, hello, please holler at me, right? So I think that's what's happening. There are men here. There's a variety of men here, right? All different. There's different people. Even though it's a tiny island, there are clearly, right, black people here. There are, I guess, Venezuelan people here. There are Asians, right? A lot of different culture, a lot of different types of men here, but they all seem to not be the type. I've never, not just me, but I've never seen men just stop and holler at a chick, right? And right, we're on beaches, we have on swimsuits, we're at the grocery store with our swimsuits on, right? Right. And I've never seen it. So I think that you need something to break the ice. And I think that an app will do that. So maybe this will be the week that I'll get on a dating app and check it out and see what's happening down here. So what's happening with dating in Barbados, Jamila?
You know, there's going to be people who are compatible and people who aren't. Um, I think there are a lot of stereotypes about Caribbean men from various islands about the beach guys and the whatever. And I don't really think that that's a fair stereotype. That absolutely does exist. That culture of the beach guys, running up to you and wanting whatever, that exists. But there are regular people who don't just spend all their time on the beaches. And so it depends also on who you are, because not just do Caribbean men have a reputation, but American tourist women have a reputation.
That's right.
For coming to the islands, looking for a certain kind of interaction, looking for a certain kind of experience. And that also can make it difficult for American women tourists who are not looking for that. Because first, if they see that you're American and tourist, they think you're in that camp, and you just came down here. What's that old Eddie Murphy joke, looking for a big dick and a smile or whatever, Dexter St. Jacques. That absolutely exists. If that's what you want, that's here. And on many islands, that's what you'll find. If you're looking for real relationship, real companionship, you still have to do the same things that you would do if you were in the United States, which is take your time and get to know someone. Mm-hmm. I'm single. I've dated here. I've dated local guys. I've dated expat guys. I've met people on apps. I've met people outside of apps. I've had some really wonderful dating experience. I was actually talking to a guy for a while. We weren't for no reason that was like dramatic or whatever. We just decided, I kind of decided we weren't heading in the same direction. So we parted ways pleasantly. I can't, and it was a good experience. I would do it all over again. But, I've also had my share of, meeting some knuckleheads. But how is that different from when I was living in the U.S.? I lived in D.C. D.C. is a pretty hard place to date.
Yeah.
I lived in New Orleans. New Orleans is an easy place to date, but a hard place to get a certain kind of relationship.
Yeah.
I lived on a tiny rural island in the middle of the Gullah culture, which is a whole other experience where people will tell you, yes, I'm married and I would like to date you.
Uh-huh.
I've run into that here too. People have been, one thing I'll say here is people are fairly transparent about their situation and their entanglements. Asked me if I was single. I said, yes. Do you have a boyfriend? I said, no. I said, what about you? Well, it's complicated. I said, well, what does that mean? Well, I have a girlfriend. Okay. And she has a husband. Okay. And you think adding me to that mix is going to do what? But, I can't say I wouldn't have experienced that in the U.S. too, but I gave him, I appreciated that he was very upfront, because in D.C. you might have that situation, but they're not going to tell you.
You're not going to know.
You're going to have
That's
to be
right.
a detective to find that out.
That's right.
Right, there's pros and cons, but at the end of the day, what's your energy like and what are you showing up as? And that's going to make a big impact on the kind of interactions that you have with people. Mm-hmm. I will say this, culturally, there are some differences where, in not for everyone, but it's common here that if you've gone on a couple dates, that person considers you theirs unless you've had a conversation that says you're not.
Okay.
So I've learned to be very upfront early on, because American style dating of dating different people until you find somebody you like, it happens here, but it isn't as common. So just to avoid misunderstanding, I'm very clear upfront, like, until we've had a conversation, I'm still seeing other people or open to seeing other people. Whether I'm actually seeing them or not is beside the point, but I'm open to seeing other people. And then there also is, in some places, a little bit of possessiveness. And I also mentioned that small island mentality where everybody knows everybody and everybody sees what everybody's doing. Okay. I got a call from someone that I went out with one time, and it wasn't even like a real date. It was like a explore to see if we want to go out on a date. And then he called me like, who was that guy I saw you with in St. Lawrence Gap in your car? I was like, Negro, what? I know you may get off my phone so fast. You don't own me. And even if we were together, this kind of energy right here, absolutely not. And I've seen that kind of thing happen with other female friends of mine, of someone clocking their movements or having another mutual friend or acquaintance report back that I saw this person and they're not even in a committed relationship. So that part I didn't like, and I'm not going to say that that's everybody. That was one individual, but I can't say that that doesn't happen here. So, you know, dating is complicated, you know, especially in your 40s, dating is complicated. It can be complicated.
Yeah, the cultural differences are a thing. The cultural differences are a thing. People do date differently in different places. And so that's an important conversation, important thing to bring up, right? So maybe Grenada wins this round. I think that I think Grenada won that question. I think that there are places where men are going to feel like you are theirs as soon as you start dating. I can't say which side Curaçao would fall on that, but I know South Africa was like that as well. So
and I also want to share that my sister, when she moved here, she was not looking to date. She had just got out of a very long-term relationship. Within a month of being here on the island, she met someone. They're still together. It's been almost a year, and he is a great dude. He's local. He's so good to her, and he's good to me just because I'm her sister. And so I really get annoyed by the stereotype of Caribbean men being womanizers, you know, because they saw it in the movies. Stella Got Your Groove Back, or they heard about someone who got married for a green card and all that. You know, that does happen, but it bothers me when that's the only conversation or the only depiction of Caribbean men and dating. You know, that bothers me. Just like I don't want to see Black men stereotyped in the U.S. either, because there's good dudes out there. You know, what are you bringing to the table, and what's your filter like? You know, you do have to have a good filter.
So yeah, you had discernment. Discernment is important. Zoe, so I want to clear up. Bijou was asking what was Zoe saying. Zoe said, Bijou's question was, are you saying men in Grenada don't date dark-skinned women?
No, I was saying in the UK.
Yeah.
In the UK, no. In Grenada, Grenada is generally pretty dark. We're not that racially mixed, so people are pretty black. And yeah, I think they love women who are curvy. So I'm quite surprised that I've managed to make connections, because I'm like, whatever I do, I just don't have it. But yeah, black, curvy, yeah, they just love women. And I think you do have to be cautious. I think often when there is economic difference, you do have to be aware that there might sometimes be motivations that you might not initially be aware of. But yeah, go in with your eyes open. And even if you don't fully go in, you'll still have a lot of fun, because they look hot and they've got good chat.
Okay. All right, good.
What Zoe said about plus size women and curvy women, there's an appreciation in the Caribbean in general, in Barbados I can speak to, for women of all sizes. You know, I am a plus size woman. That is not an impediment to dating. And in fact, it is refreshing to see a celebration of women's bodies and sizes and shapes in a way that is not universal in the United States. I had different experiences living in DC versus in South Carolina and New Orleans, where plus size women were definitely celebrated in the more southern regions of the US. And apparently the further south you go, that is a thing. So that's something to keep in mind too. But I really appreciate here that there is such an appreciation for the variety and diversity of women and bodies and what's considered beautiful from a African descendant perspective. There is that.
Yes. All right. Yeah. So I think that might be a stereotype that holds true in the Caribbean, right? That might be a stereotype that is based on people's real experiences, that Caribbean men are into women, right? They are into women, and you don't have to fit into one particular mold. I also, there was a point in the US where there was just a massive shift where I was just past the expiration date, right? Not only am I tall, not only am I dark skinned, but also once I hit like 30 something, 35 maybe, it was just like, psh, you're invisible now. And I'm not invisible when I step out of the United States. And even though have not dated here, I'm not invisible here in the Caribbean. I'm not invisible in Curaçao. I just don't get invited on dates yet, but I'm gonna fix that. Okay. I'm gonna fix it. All right. Okay. So we covered dating. We covered cost of living. We covered our favorite beaches. We covered the getting residency. We covered the different ways to get residency and live in these islands. All right. I think that we've covered everything that we came to cover. Thank you all very much for this wonderful conversation. I've got Barbados at 5, Grenada at 5, Curacao at 3, and Jamaica at 2. Sorry for you, Jamaica. All right. Sorry for you, Curacao, because I couldn't rep properly, but I think I did a decent enough job. Okay, so I got Barbados and Grenada tied as the winners. But everybody take a second, not take a second. Everybody think about your priorities for a place. Think about your priorities and then like explore. We don't have to just, we don't have to settle, right? You can find a place that you're going to be.
No.
What, Clarice? You got so Barbados won because of the Black women in charge. They don't get hurricanes, right? A few hurricanes. Curacao also got that. I don't remember Grenada's points.
We do get them. We have one last year.
It's been a while. Oh, last year? Okay. So I don't know. And then we've got the
but it averages once every 50 years.
Once every 50. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then we'll take one from Barbados then. we've got the welcome stamp, the visa situation. Jamaica's got to catch up. Okay, you tell them if they had a welcome stamp, right? And if they had one more thing, they would have been tied as well.
Jamaica have cash.
I don't know what I'm sorry. Say it one more time, Clarice. I lost you. I don't know. I can't hear you. But
I think Jamaica should get a bonus point for culture. Jamaica should get a bonus point for culture and nightlife.
Jamaica gets the point for culture and food.
Well, the dating scene is much more prevalent.
I got to give that too. I agree with Zoe.
Okay.
Clarice gets a point for being in Jamaica for food.
Yes.
So culture, we'll do culture and food. We'll give her 2 extra points. So that puts her at a 4. Okay. How's that? Good points. Good points. We didn't talk about food because I just assumed everybody was going to win.
Asking about the toilet paper situation.
Okay.
We have regular toilet paper, regular toilet flushing in Barbados. So somebody kept asking in the chat.
Yes. And regular toilet flushing in Curaçao. Yes. You can flush your toilet paper here. Yeah. I think that the Caribbean might be, you can flush it. Right. Y'all flushing your toilet paper in Kingston, Clarice? She's behind. She's laughing about what we said 60 seconds ago. So I don't know.
Yes.
But I'm going to guess. Flushing toilet paper is a thing that you can do in the Caribbean. It's just other places, some older, much places where systems were built such a long time even before the colonizers. Okay, all right. So everybody wins except for Curaçao but that's mine. So in that case, everybody wins. So thank you, friends, for the super chat one last time. Thank you very much for the super chat. We have a bunch pour in after the first acknowledgement. So thank you very much, Tracy Little. Thank you very much, Chill Time Games. Thank you very much, Proverbs 31 Woman. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, my computer is the internet did just give up the ghost. Thank you, everyone. I can't see anymore. I can't scroll anymore. But thank you all for the super chats that you've given. Again, we're giving the super chat to the Vicarian Sabbatical Fund to send Maisha Francis on her sabbatical. She's an artist. And thank you, Beverly Briscoe, for the super chat. Okay, so thank you very much for the super chat. Ladies, thank you very much for representing your islands. Thank you very much for giving us a whole new perspective on the Caribbean. Okay, so one at a time, I'm going to ask you to please let us know where we should go to learn more from you and to be a part of either your community or take advantage of your services. So Jamila, let us know where we should be, where we should go for more.
Sure. If you are interested or curious about visiting or moving to Barbados, come check us out on Facebook. If you Google or you search for Barbados Blackpats in the groups, our group will come up. And I think Stephanie also included the link in the group description. And we're very accessible. We have an existing community here that really makes the transition to arriving in Barbados very seamless. You know, the minute you get here, you have friends and people who will tell you what to do, where to go, where to live. So you don't have to do this alone. You know, I encourage you to visit any of these islands. It'll change your life. It really will. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jamila. All right, Barbados Blackpats. And yes, that's linked in the description of this video. All right, thank you so much. All right, Zoe, tell us where we should go for more.
Yeah, so normally I'm not only representing Grenada, I'm representing all Caribbean islands. So check out the influences of people who've moved across the entire Caribbean, with the exception of Guyana, Suriname, and the Bahamas. So if anyone's been to those places, holler at me because I want to interview you. You can also check out the exodus.co, which is a website that has a forum where you can find information on visas, residency, and other bits and pieces of information for all 15 CARICOM islands. And on the 10th of April, I'll be hosting a workshop that gives you an insight into how to relocate to Grenada. The following week, we'll have one on St. Lucia, and the final one will be St. Kitts. So the smaller islands that aren't necessarily on people's radar, but kind of when you want to know the ins and outs of how to move, we'll have property experts, we'll have entrepreneurs, people who will be sharing their stories and also answering your questions directly.
Okay.
So check out the exodus.co, which is the website for more information there.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, so I'll link to that in the description.
Thank you, Stephanie. I've loved it.
You're very welcome. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Zoe was in Exodus Homecoming last year, right? Talking to us about life in Grenada. And listen, this is peer pressure and bullying. Okay, so I'm going to bully you live on the internet, but I hope that you, when we talked on September and you said you were doing everything on your own, right? You don't have a housekeeper, you don't have this, I was like, my prayer for Zoe is that she stops doing all of the things. Okay, so I hope that you will find a thing that you can hand off to someone else, so that you can embrace some ease. You can be in the Caribbean and live the easy life. It's okay. It's okay. I hope so. A nanny, somebody, because you were also doing school for the kids, and okay, so bullying over.
No, the babysitter starts tonight. So thank you. I have taken.
Good news. Okay, that's good news. Okay, so the exodus.co. Okay, and I'll of course link to that in the description of this video. Thank you so much. All right, Clarice, tell us, where should we go to learn more? She'll hear that in about 30 seconds. So I'm going to tell you, her group is called Black Expats in Jamaica.
So we have our website, which is live. It is so berjamaica.com. We are doing discovery calls. So if you are interested and you need guidance in moving to Jamaica, or just more understanding of the lay of the land, we are doing consultations. And you can also join our Facebook group on Facebook, Black Expats and Repats in Jamaica. So we're online and we're on Facebook. And we are also continuously developing resources to help expedite and make your transition a smooth one if Jamaica is your choice. So we're on Instagram as well, podcast, YouTube, just Black Expats Expats and Repats in Jamaica. And you can find all of us on our website as well. BER Jamaica.com.
Good. All right. Thank you so much. All right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, because this is something else we didn't talk about. A lot of these islands are not only getting a lot of expats, but getting a lot of repats, a lot of people returning. Zoe talked about the education drain, right? People get an education and then leave the island for better money, right? But there is a return. There is a return happening on all of our islands. So thank you very much for that information. Okay, so now you know where to go to get more information from these ladies. Of course, all of these links are in the description. Okay, friends, thank you so much. Oh, guys in the chat, before we go, who won? Okay, who won it for you?
Thank you for having us.
Not for everybody, but who won for you? Which country is the country for you? Who made the biggest impression on you in terms of this is the life that I want for me or for my family? Okay, go ahead and leave that in the chat. And again, thank you guys.
Come on now, Jamaica.
Clarice's campaign. Clarice's campaign. Yeah, and Zoe. Okay, so Zoe, thank your kids also for being so patient. I see right now. I think this is your 5-year-old, right? She's like, enough. We've had enough. Okay, where are my popsicles that you promised? Oh, this is hello.
And Clarissa and Zoe, I want to meet both of you. I can't wait to visit your islands, to come back to Jamaica and to visit Grenada for the first time. So let's definitely connect offline.
Oh, yeah,
and thank you for having us all, Stephanie. This has been great.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Thank you so much, friends. I'll talk to y'all again. Thank you all. Have a good day. Good weekend. Bye, guys. All right. Let me hit the finish button.
Bye.
Okay. And thank you, guys.